Hi, welcome to the week 3 lecture. This week one of our topics in the classroom is single causation, and I want to talk about single causation in the context of complex adaptive systems. If you think about the nature of problems and what's difficult for organizations to solve, they have a tendency, if you ask them, what's hard to solve in your organization, they have a tendency to list the same things. They'll say, well, communications or quality and performance or trying to achieve harmonious working relationships or reduce employee absenteeism or increase employee loyalty or there's a lack of leadership. We hear these often repeated. And then if you ask that same question about a community, and it doesn't matter whether it's large or small community or north, south, east, or west, they have a tendency to list the same things. They'll say, well, we have a problem with drugs or education or crime's a problem or government or taxes or need for meaningful employment or, once again, lack of leadership or affordable health care. All these things get mentioned. And the reason why they seem to list the same things, and it seems to be ongoing. Matter of fact, even in the presidential debates this year, one of the candidates said that they seem to have been talking about the same problems for the past 30 years, and that's true. And what it is single causation versus multiple causation. And as a society, we have a tendency to do analysis, and what I mean by analysis is we break things into parts to seek a single causation. And this is what we do when you go to get in your car and you turn the key and it doesn't start. We start thinking to break it into parts to find the cause so we can fix the problem. And that tends to work well because that process of analysis is designed for mechanical problems. And so it works well with some problems, and sometimes it doesn't. Maybe it'll fix a social problem, but it's designed for mechanical problems, and it doesn't work well with all problems, and especially social system problems. Heisenberg came up with the uncertainty principle, and it was based on mass and energy of an atom, and basically all it says was an accurate measurement of one observable characteristic involves a great deal of uncertainty in the measure of the other. So what he came up with was, well, it's impossible to be certain about everything. So this kind of changed the whole course of determinism in the history of things. And so a psychologist's approach is to use an evidence-based approach to problem solving and to sort single causation from multiple causation. In other words, we look for interdependence, and in complicated problems, multiple causation. I liked Akoff's work. Akoff was a great systems thinker when he was alive. And he was known, him and Deming were known as the great systems thinkers. And Akoff had a way of sorting complex social system problems. And he would say, number one, what exactly was the mess? And for him, the word mess was a technical term, because he said the English language was limited, and there was really no word in English that represented a complex system of multiple problems. So he said the word mess meant that. And so when he said, what exactly was the mess, he's talking about what's the systemic problem that you're experiencing. And then how did it develop? What were the underlying causes and how were they interrelated? Notice he's thinking multiple causation right away. And then what would happen if no significant changes were made to the system? In other words, what would be the natural result? and this became a way to sort these problems. So the point that I want to make here is that let me get the point I want to make here to summarize this is that we oftentimes look for single causation or a magical bullet solution to problems, and when they involve social problems or even individual people problems, that type of thinking doesn't work very often, and we need to look for multiple causation and more complexity in the causes and in the solutions of the problems. And when we do that, then we start to get to the solutions. And also, like for example, if I go back to the list we started with, one way to get at that is to have multiple functions look at these problems together as a team, because then they'll start to identify the multiple causations that actually cause these problems, and we can start to get some realistic solutions. Just a good example once again in the presidential debates. Recently, immigration has been a topic, but immigration is much more complicated than what they're saying. There's multiple causes to that, and it's going to take multiple functions looking at multiple causes in order to come up with a more comprehensive and complex solution to work through immigration and how it affects people in the United States as well as those that are trying to come here. So single causation is only one way to look at things. Multiple causation is another. Thank you.